The PlayStation Store's holiday sale is continuing to run on right now, and now we're gonna look at the games above any sort of price threshold. We're looking at games a little bit more expensive. I've limited the selection to 10 games just so I can talk about them a little bit more than I did in the previous video. We'll probably do another video where we take a look at another 10 deals because honestly, guys, there is a ridiculous amount of deals available. I decided to not list any of the PlayStation 4 exclusives like God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn Complete. Those are all $14.99. I imagine most of you guys are aware about those games, and they're a little bit more expensive than what they were at during the Black Friday sale, so I didn't think it made a lot of sense mentioning those titles. Obviously, they're great games. They should be in your library. But without further ado, let's get right into these games. We've got 10 to go over, so let's get into this. Kicking things off, I do want to give a shout to Dying Light, the following Enhanced Edition. That is 30% off for $13.99. I love Dying Light. I thought it was a fantastic game. However, it was a game that released very, very early on in this generation. Back in January of 2015, I believe. So at this point, you're talking nearly 5 years since the game has been released. Wow, I'm really dating myself there, but Dying Light still holds up rather well. Visually, it's fantastic. The parkour gameplay elements are great. The open world is good. It's not the biggest open world. It's not at the level of some of the more grandiose adventures we've been on throughout this generation. However, it's still a rather good time, and of course, Dying Light 2 is in development, and that's scheduled to be released in 2020, and that game looks to be a significant improvement upon this game. Whatever the case may be, check out Dying Light, the following Enhanced Edition. $14 for that is really good. Next up, this recommendation might be a little bit surprising to you guys, but Assassin's Creed Odyssey Gold Edition, 75% off for $24.99. I think this is a tremendous deal. Now, you guys might know if you followed our videos in the past that I'm not the biggest fan of the series shift that Assassin's Creed has gone on, and I'm probably in the minority on that, but I was a bigger fan of games like, yes, AC Syndicate, more so than Assassin's Creed Origins and Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I still like the games, and I understand why Ubisoft went this direction. Maybe the older games were a little bit played out. Maybe they wanted to make these grandiose open world games where they can market, hey, this game has X amount of content, and yeah, these games are content filled. The gameplay is great, the open worlds are enormous, and there's a ton to do, and with this Gold Edition, it gets even better because not only do you get the base game of Assassin's Creed Odyssey with all that content, you get the Season Pass, and that lets you access 2 new story arcs with 3 episodes each, and also receive Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered featuring 4K and HDR support. So you're talking about getting Assassin's Creed Odyssey, then you get all the DLC for that game, and then you get Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered as well. Value-wise, this deal is ridiculous, and I would highly recommend it. Next up, Borderlands The Handsome Collection is 75% off for $14.99. Now, I know Borderlands 3 just dropped, and it is seeing a decent discount on the PlayStation Store. It's down to $39. That's still kind of pricey. If you want to just get into Borderlands, all of the games have a lot of similar elements, and I would recommend you to start out with the Handsome Collection. Hell, even check out Borderlands Game of the Year Edition Remastered, which is Borderlands 1 Remastered. I would probably just jump in with the Handsome Collection just because Borderlands 2 is a much stronger game than the first title. Whatever the case may be, it still holds up really well, and it's a lot cheaper than Borderlands 3, so $15 for that is really good. Next up, here's a game and a franchise I always go to bat for, and that is Danganronpa. I would highly recommend you guys to check out Danganronpa 1 and 2 Reloaded. $19.99 for that. That's 50% off. A little bit pricey, however, you do get 2 games and 2 excellent games at that. Danganronpa is fantastic, and these are story-driven games, so you do want to play these games sequentially. Did notice Danganronpa 3 was also on sale, but again, I want you guys to play through these games in order. Play Danganronpa 1, then jump to 2, and then you can play 3 as well. And 1 and 2 are probably the stronger games in the series. Not to say 3 is bad by any means, it's quite good. However, Danganronpa 1 has that element of it being so fresh and new to you that it automatically hooks you. And then Danganronpa 2, I would say, is a improvement upon Danganronpa 1 in how they tell the story and some of the elements in that regard, in how they convey the mystery as well. It's just a great game. I don't want to get into the story too much just to avoid spoilers, but it makes a lot of sense. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. Some of the plot twists are ridiculous, and for $19.99 to get both games, strongly recommend it. Next up, now, while I said I wouldn't mention a lot of the PlayStation 4 exclusives, a lot of those were the PlayStation Hits titles. I do want to give a shout to Days Gone, which is 50% off for $19.99. We've been seeing this price pretty regularly for Days Gone, but hey, it's available at it again, and why not give it a recommendation? It's an open-world action-adventure done by Sony Bend Studio, guys that were not known for big-budget PS4 games for quite a while. They were working on a lot of portable games, games, a lot of games on the PlayStation Vita. They did Uncharted Golden Abyss, which yes, was a technically impressive game, but talking about a Vita game and a PS4 game, completely different sides of the spectrum. But Days Gone is quite good. I wouldn't put it at the caliber of the elite PlayStation 4 exclusives. It's not quite at the level of a God of War or Horizon Zero Dawn. However, it is still very good. The gameplay is very good. The narrative has strong elements to it, although I don't think it was as good as it potentially could have been. I do think the game suffers from a rare issue in that it honestly has too much content. I think this game would have been a little bit better if you shaved off a couple hours of gameplay here and there. Would have just offered a more concise story, and then if you did want to offer more side content, that's an entirely different thing. However, it's still a very good game, and I would still strongly recommend it, especially because unlike games like God of War and Horizon, where I imagine the majority of you guys own the game, Days Gone is a title I know many of you guys are still probably waiting on getting. Well, now for $19.99, I do think it's a great buy. Next up, we've got Devil May Cry 5, 67% off for $19.79. I've often mentioned how I think Devil May Cry 5 is one of the best games of the year, and that still holds up true all the way at the end of the year. It is just a very, very well-designed title, and it's a great action-oriented game. The only reason I could see you be hesitant to pick up Devil May Cry 5, at least initially, was the price point at $59.99, but now at $19.79, it is a much better price, and I do think it's worth giving a look to. Even if you've never played the Devil May Cry games, these are games that you can enjoy story aside, and they do have a recap section of the game where they get you up to speed with a lot of the Devil May Cry lore, and you can still get the general gist of the story DMC5 offers, even if you don't look into that. For $19.79, it's a great pickup. Alright, next up, we've got Final Fantasy 15 Royal Edition, $17.49 for this. Final Fantasy 15 is one of those games that some people really like, other people not so much. I think the issue with it is if you go into this game expecting a Final Fantasy game with an incredibly engaging narrative, you're going to be very, very disappointed. The story in Final Fantasy 15 is probably the weakest element to the game, although the Royal Edition does remedy a lot of the issues with additional content, and by the way, Episode Arden, the DLC is also discounted to like $2 and change, so check that out as well. But the Royal Edition itself offers a ton of additional content that does tighten up the story a little bit. Still not as great of a story as we've come to expect out of Final Fantasy games. I mean, if you compare this game story to like a Final Fantasy VII, obviously it's a far cry from that. However, Final Fantasy 15's open world is excellent. The gameplay is fast-paced and very enjoyable, and at $17.49 for the Royal Edition, I think it's a great buy right now. Also, I would recommend to just pick up the Royal Edition and then get Episode Arden as well. You'll have all the content, and that's a sizable amount of content for you to get into. Alright, from one Square Enix, a JRPG that had a disjointed story, how about a franchise that some will say is a little bit disjointed at times? The Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package is 67% off for $33. Some people might absolutely come at my throat for saying something like that, but Kingdom Hearts at times a little bit jumbled. However, I think the overarching narrative was still rather strong. This all-in-one package is a steal for those of you looking to get into the series. It's got Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5 Remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3. All of that 67% off for just $33, a ridiculous deal, and the content you're getting here is obscene. Kingdom Hearts 3 is not a game I would recommend you guys to just jump in without prior knowledge of the previous games. They do have recap videos, and you can get yourself up to speed, but I always say, whatever a recap video is going to do for you, it's a lot better if you do play, 30 to 40 hour JRPGs. And there's quite a few of them here. You've got Kingdom Hearts 1, you've got Kingdom Hearts Raid Chain of Memories, you've got Kingdom Hearts 2, you've got Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, then you've got Dream Drop Distance. Yes, it's a lot of stuff before you actually get into Kingdom Hearts 3, but that's how in-depth the story of Kingdom Hearts is. A lot of it is really good. Some of it, is a little bit disjointed, but I think it's more good than bad, and for $33, it's a bargain. Next up, I want to give a shout to a game I think a lot of you guys own, but it is a little bit more relevant right now. The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Complete Edition is 70% off for $14.99. Obviously, The Witcher is in the news because of the Netflix series that just came out, which I would say is rather good, but it's also giving a lot of reason for some people to have a reinvigorated interest in The Witcher. Whatever the case may be, if you're looking to get into the game for the first time or you're looking to revisit it, the Complete Edition for $14.99 is a bargain. You get the base Witcher 3 game, which is already awesome. Then you get Hearts of Stone, you got Blood and Wine, and that means you've got a ridiculous amount of content. And there's some other smaller pieces of DLC be in here as well. The Witcher 3 is excellent. I can make a legitimate argument that it's the best game that has been released this generation, and it is just a very good game. Excellent storytelling. The gameplay might not be up everyone's alley. I personally really enjoyed it, and I liked playing the game at a little bit of a harder difficulty. Whatever the case may be, it's a great buy right now at $14.99 and a ton of content for your money. Alright, and lastly, with 2020 bringing the release of Watch Dogs Legion, I don't think it's a bad idea to check out Watch Dogs 2 right now, and a great price added at that, 75% off for $12.49. The game also has a free demo available right now, so I would highly recommend you to check that out if you're a little bit uncertain on whether or not you want to pick up the entire game. But for $12.49, it's a great buy, and Watch Dogs 2 is a considerable improvement upon Watch Dogs 1. I often compare Watch Dogs 2 to Assassin's Creed 2 in that Assassin's Creed 1 was an okay game. It had some cool elements, but Assassin's Creed 2 really revamped everything and made it a lot more engaging. That's kind of what Watch Dogs 2 did for Watch Dogs as well. A much better game than the first, and at $12.49, it's an excellent buy. And that's gonna conclude this video. Again, the holiday sale has a plethora of more great deals available, and I'll probably get to that sometime in the near future. But if you guys are getting PlayStation Store credit for the holidays or whatever the case may be, it would be a great time to pick some of these games up because you can get them at an absolute bargain. That's gonna conclude this video. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.